In 1991, this guy filed for bankruptcy. He did it again in 1992.
You still own your own airline? Oh, they haven't taken that away from you yet, huh? No, good.
And then again, and again, and again, and again. And here he is. Oh. Trump? Bankruptcy hasn't made Trump poor. In fact, he seems to like it. But don't take my word for it.
I'm glad I did it. I used the laws of the country to my benefit. I'm sorry.
So in this video, we're going to find out why Donald Trump went bankrupt on purpose.
Permission to know.
The story begins in 1986 with a billionaire building a new mega casino in Atlantic City. Not this billionaire, that billionaire, a man called James Crosby. But mid-construction, Crosby died, and a handful of people vied to take on the project. The winner is this billionaire, Donald Trump. Trump is already a household name at this point. Everyone in America has heard of him and the tower he named after himself. He also has the Grand Hyatt Hotel and the Plaza Hotel and 2 existing casinos in Atlantic City.
Come to the castle in Atlantic City. It's more than a hotel, it's a 4-star resort.
This mega casino will be his third and biggest. Crosby called it the Taj Mahal. Donald tweaked the name to the Trump Taj Mahal. Finishing the Taj would cost Trump hundreds of millions of dollars, which he'd need to borrow. Now, unfortunately, the banks wouldn't lend to him because they thought it was too risky. But he had a backup option. Trump created a company called the Trump Taj Mahal Funding Incorporated and created bonds. Think of bonds as IOUs, except these IOUs are worth $465 million. Trump sold these bonds to hedge funds and pension companies, and he used the money to finish the Trump Taj Mahal. The question is, why would anyone buy bonds in a venture so risky that the banks said no? The answer is simple: interest. Trump had to pay interest on that loan every single month, and the interest was high. For the lenders, this was high risk, high reward. It's this level of risk that gave these bonds their unflattering nickname, junk bonds.
When the Trump Taj Mahal opened in April 1990, it made a splash in the press.
This is truly the 8th wonder of the world.
He's a success story. He's rich, he's brash, he's successful.
But before long, Donald was having money problems. What was going wrong here? Well, the Taj was taking customers, but his other 2 casinos were losing customers because they were going there instead. He'd cannibalized his own casino empire. And remember, Trump's lenders didn't have shares in the Taj. All they had was IOUs. And in November 1990, Trump signaled that he couldn't make his next interest payment, which triggered crisis talks. And to get his new deal, Trump needed all the lenders to agree. But there were hundreds of them.
This was the lowest financial ebb Donald had ever been in up to this point. He had creditors at the door, his name dragged through the press, and his personal reputation in the balance. He needed a miracle, and that's exactly what he got. In December 1990, a man walked into one of Trump's other casinos, the Trump Castle. He walked over to the blackjack table and bought over $3 million in chips. He put them all in a suitcase and left the building. Now, this was cash straight into the casino's coffers and would go a long way towards Trump's next interest payment. And if you think that sounds too good to be true, so do the authorities.
Regulators traced the money back to Trump's father, Fred. Now, Fred didn't have approval to lend to casinos, so he'd try to sneak the money in by buying chips. Now, their plan was discovered, but the state let them off with just a $30,000 fine, and they spent the rest of the money on interest payments. Months later, Trump struck a deal with most of his lenders. He'd give them 50% of his stake in the Taj, and in return, they'd cut interest rates from 14% to 11%. But some holdouts wanted more equity or more interest. Some even wanted their money back in full, and they were ready to sue. So Trump used his secret weapon.
Almost every hotel in Atlantic City has either been in bankruptcy or will be in bankruptcy. I've used that to my advantage as a businessman.
Now, there are 6 types of bankruptcy under US law. Chapters 7, 9, 11, 12, 13, and 15. Chapter 7 is when a bank sells all your stuff to pay off your creditors. Chapter 11, Donald's favourite, is when a business can keep operating until a deal is made. Importantly though, Chapter 11s are presided over by a judge. They decide if a new deal is acceptable to the majority. If Donald Trump could win over the judge, then the holdouts would have no recourse to sue. By the end of 1991, the judge had confirmed the deal, and Trump had his first notch on the bankruptcy bedpost. He went on to use Chapter 11 bankruptcy 6 times, and each time would come out on top. Say what you want about the man, he could make a deal. But Trump had one advantage which nobody else has: his name.
Trump Shuttle, Trump Princess, Trump Tower.
Trump's Castle Casino.
My new game is Trump, the game.
Trump Vodka.
Trump tie, Trump bed to sleep on.
Trump Ice.
Trump steaks.
Back in the 80s and 90s, Donald put his name on everything. Pretty much all of his assets were tied up with the Trump brand. Now, if that brand were to fail, if Trump went down the toilet, he'd take with him everyone who invested in Trump, and Donald uses that. Let's look again at the Taj Mahal story. Trump could only afford to finish it using junk bonds loaded with outrageous interest. But crucially, he was able to change that interest. He negotiated new terms and even got a judge to ratify it for him. Bankruptcy worked for him so well, they used it 5 more times. So perhaps for Donald Trump, bankruptcy isn't a mistake or a backup option, but part of the plan.